How y'all doing? I'm Jason with Tennessee Mountain Homestead, and today we're going to be fixing the starter gear drive on a John Deere 111 and an old Briggs flathead. Stay tuned. First thing we're going to do is remove the negative battery cable. Next thing I'm going to do is disconnect the positive battery cable from the starter and then unbolt these two bolts that hold the assembly to the motor. Okay, we've got the starter disconnected from the motor, and as you can see, this gear, somebody, not sure who, cranked it and it didn't engage right and the gear stripped out completely. So we're going to replace that. We're going to replace it with this old, I found it on eBay. It's a Briggs Stratton starter drive repair kit, and that's the part number. Next thing we're going to do is get this thing chalked up in the vise. Now I've got the vise, look here, gripping on this top cap piece. What we got to do is drive that roll pin out. Next I'm going to take some WD-40, or I don't know where my PB blaster is, but we're going to just spray a little bit of penetrating oil on that. We're going to take a punch the same size or slightly smaller. In this case it's a little bit smaller than this roll pin. And we're going to gently tap it out. Alright, I need to get a little bit smaller one. I'll be back. Alright, I got a little bit smaller roll pin punch. And as soon as I get this pin out, the starter's going to want to fall away. So I kind of got to use my third hand. Alright, maybe not. So the next thing we did, we got the roll pin out. And now we're just going to simply remove the parts. Here's the old tore up gear. And there is the drive, the gear drive that makes the gear go up when the starter spins. So exactly the reverse order. We've got inspect your parts and make sure they're the same. Got that piece, our gear, it's the same tooth count. I think it's a 16 tooth, guys. There's our gear. Alright guys, one thing worth mentioning that I just noticed a small, it's something that's not similar. If you look here at these two pieces, this here in my left hand, this is the older one. This came off of a 1983 John Deere 111. This was on the original 10 horsepower motor, or 11 horsepower, whatever it is. And if you notice, the shapes are slightly different. I thought this one was just round at first. In reality, it does have some dimples built into it to where it would grab right here on the shaft, on the starter shaft. There's some flat sides to it. So it would engage this one still. This is the old one. This one is older, but it's probably still newer than that. That's 40 years old. This one's probably, who knows, I don't know. But this one here, it fits down on the shaft and it engages with the shaft. Next thing we're going to do is put our gear back on. Then we're going to put this retainer back on and our new roll pin. We're going to get it chucked up in the vise. We'll be back in a minute. Alright, so I got it chucked up in the vise. I'm just going to tap that roll pin. Right on through there. And guys, you don't want to be beaten on the end of this shaft without having it supported in a vise or some other way, maybe up against a block of wood or something. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to get that all the way back in with this roll pin punch, with this punch. I'll be back in a minute. A little bit more. Got it all back in, symmetrical, looks good, everything seems to be working. We're going to put it back on the tractor. We'll be with you soon. Alright guys, putting it back on the tractor, no big deal, same as taking it off. It's just two bolts right here on the block, and then we're going to reattach this, this positive cable from the battery, from the solenoid. Alright guys, so we got the bolts back in, the starter's mounted, the positive battery cable's back on, the starter cable's back on the starter. Negative cable's hooked back up to the battery. I'm not going to put my cover back on just yet because I want to watch this thing work. I want to see it engage. We'll do that in a second. All right, here we go, moment of truth. Check this out, guys. This old motor runs really sweet. Look how low it can idle. I just started it up. And then we can crank it. Woo! All right, let's get the cover put back on and we'll close it out. All right, so we know it works. We're putting our cover back on. And guys, it's very important on these small engines to put all the shrouds and covers on as originally intended, because that affects the airflow that passes over the cooling fins on the motor. Keeps these little air-cooled motors running for a long time. So that's a super easy fix. You know, these starter gears sometimes get stripped out. They're made out of plastic generally. Some of them are aluminum, but that's just to protect the ring gear on the flywheel. Because if that was steel on steel, something happened, it got bound up, it got twisted, you know, it was, battery voltage was low and it was running and grinding, it would just tear away on the engine. So that's a fail-safe. So anyways, guys, like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. I'm Jason, Tennessee Mountain Homestead, and we'll see you next time.